Hi, Cher.
Hey, Candace. Good to be with you this morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you.
We just started over because I popped on and said happy Saturday. I thought it was Saturday because my husband's home.
Yeah. Yeah. We're actually working on a holiday. We were commenting that we're working on a holiday because we love what we do and we had time available. And so here we are. And it's the 4th of July, but we are here talking about some really important things.
Mhm. You shared a solo episode last week on the unspeakable things. We've been discussing things that are hard to do, but worth it. And when I listened to the replay of your solo episode, I cried. One, I was so proud of you for speaking the unspeakable things. And I resonated. Like, these are hard things that we're doing and others are doing, but we know deep down in our souls now it's worth it.
Yeah.
Initially, we didn't. We thought we could die.
It's the truth. It's like these are things that feel like agony to our soul when we're going through them, right? I have some things, I'm meeting with my coach tomorrow. I have something that I want to talk about that I have not talked about yet.
Mm.
And it feels hard. There's some agony there. I've been really contemplating, do I want to talk about this or not? Do I want to talk about this or not? And I feel like it's time to go there and to talk about something else, something more that is important in my healing journey that I have been really pushing down and pushing away and not wanting to face and deal with. And yet I'm feeling like, okay, this is hard, but worth it. This topic we've been on is kind of prompting me. It's like, yeah, so there are so many things that are hard in the healing journey, and we can avoid them, and we will. At times we will avoid them because we're just not ready yet. But then you get to that point where it's like, okay, I want to get past this thing that continues to pop up in my real life and be an issue, but has a lot of shame wrapped around it.
Mm.
And so I've kept it hidden and pushed down. And so I guess now that I'm speaking it on this podcast, I'm going to have to go there for sure now. But yeah, planning to do something hard but worth it tomorrow. So
I know someone that just had surgery, and the analogy would be, if you've had some kind of a surgery, there's so much, there can be a lot of physical pain. There's a hardness to it, but they're doing it so it can eventually be better, right? And we want to say that healing from childhood trauma, complex childhood trauma, there is a lot of emotional pain in the healing, and we believe it's worth it.
Yep.
I just started reading a book, and I had listened to a podcast about a lady she wrote a memoir, and she had made this statement. You and I talked about it briefly, but it was that she is now writing out of her scars, not her wound.
Yeah.
And so what she's saying there is that her healing journey took a lot of time, a lot of intention, a lot of focus to get to the point where she's now saying, this was worth it. And I noticed one of the things that she said, it was not only worth it for her to go through all the things that she needed to heal, but now it's also helping other people.
Yeah.
And I just love that. So that's our hearts here, right? That as we heal and as our own wounds have formed scars and forming scars, so we want to give other people hope as well.
Yeah, that's right. And not just hope, but avenues.
Hmm.
and encouragement, and to bring a voice that may not be always the status quo, because sometimes the status quo is just go out there and do the right thing. I think we're very aware that sometimes just doing the right thing is not even possible because we have wounds that haven't been healed yet. So, yeah.
And there's no shame in that. But as we awaken to that reality, and for me, it was in the form of bumping into familiar patterns, thinking that I was even healed in the past, but I was really just kind of powering up and trying to do the right thing. And now sitting with our own clients that feel, why do I keep acting this way or doing this thing or clinging on to someone for dear life or shutting everybody out and I just decide that I hate all people. Like there's pain in that.
Yeah.
And we're saying there's also a way to begin to slow down and be kind and curious and heal.
Yeah.
So today we're just going to briefly talk about something today that has been hard but worth it. And it is this idea. It is first our parents' responsibility or our caregiver to demonstrate to a child that they are worthy and that they are unconditionally loved. It is the parents' responsibility. And I feel like we do need to mention this every time in case people have not listened to previous episodes. That is not about being a perfect parent at all.
Yeah.
But there are certain elements to that form a baby, a child, toddler, preteen, teen, form them that either is going to help them rest in that, believe that, have the perception of that. And then there are things that do the opposite, like almost like, I hear that you say you love me, but it is not being demonstrated. Can you share a little bit about what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah. It's the gap between what someone says and what I perceive in that moment sometimes is a very huge gap. Sometimes it's literally we can't get through it, right? We need to get that message when we're very, very young. I read yesterday in a book something about you may have developed your avoidant attachment style in your 4th month of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took my breath away, right? It's like the responsibility on parents is huge. That from the very beginning of life, it is the parents' responsibility to convince us, to persuade us, to demonstrate to us that we are worthy and that we are loved. And yes, not perfectly, because nobody does it perfectly, for sure. When there's rupture, it's the parent who can move toward repair. When there is pain, it's the parent who can move towards soothing and bringing that infant or child back into a place where they feel seen, soothed, safe, and secure. When that doesn't happen, we do establish the deep belief in our soul, in our body, in our spirit that we are not worthy. Mm-hmm. And we spend our lives trying to find someone who will love us enough so that we can believe that we are worthy or worthy to be loved. And yet, the truth is, nobody can really bring enough to fill that gap that we feel or to overcome that belief that is bedrock in our soul. And so this is a big task on the healing journey, is this whole is facing what is it that I really believe deep in my soul, deep in my body, deep in my mind? What do I really believe? And I had to come to the place where I could say the truth is I believe that I am not worthy of
Mhm.
love. My life, my experiences that I grew up with and that I dealt with as a child convinced me that I was bad, that there was something very wrong with me, that I was not worthy. And so I spent my life striving and working very hard to try to prove to others, but really even to myself, and it was never enough. So yeah, this is so important. This is a really hard part of our healing journey, really hard and so worth it.
Yeah, so worth it. And I'm so thankful. I'm just listening to you because I know your stories and you are a testament that you can have very profound, complex childhood trauma and still heal
Yeah.
and still be on the healing journey. And I'm just so proud of you for
Yeah.
showing up and having the courage to let your voice be heard about this today. I
Mhm.
want to mention that there are times, because you mentioned attachment for a young child and the 4-month old. What we know now because of the research and with the brain and the body connection and is that there are times that a baby is separated from a parent at birth, whether that's through adoption or an injury or surgery. And what we can do about that now is to know that it's still true that that baby could experience distress, but we can also begin to bring repair at an earlier age,
Yeah.
right? So even though that baby maybe was separated for 4 months, not because it was the parent's choice per se, if we educate ourselves and we understand this, there's ways that even that baby can begin to heal and develop a secure attachment again.
Yeah. And intentional, right? I have a very dear friend whose baby was born about 3 months ago, and there were some complications right away. Not complications, but labs showed that everything wasn't quite right, and so there were lots of blood draws, and this baby was just traumatized from how many times it had blood drawn. He had blood drawn, and the mom, we talked together about this quite a while, and the mom just her heart is just broken, and still, there are times when she sees that trauma response, and we've just talked about the beautiful intentionality of bringing healing, of bringing soothing, of helping that child know you are safe, you are loved, you are held, you are cared for. And this is a child who in the very first hours and days of life did experience trauma. And this is a
Mm,
parents, family, even young siblings who are just lavishing this little infant with love and care and tenderness in moments of distress. And it is beautiful.
yeah, that's a good story of what I'm talking about
Yeah.
because there are just times that we have things happen that are outside of our control. I'm going to share a quick story about something that I experienced as an 11-year-old. And just really to kind of build a foundation on where we're going to be going probably in the next few episodes with understanding this idea of this is hard but worth it to transition from not feeling worthy to be loved to feeling very worthy to be loved and to feel grateful that we can experience that authentically. And so when I was about 11 years old, my parents had already divorced. My mom had remarried, and there was something going on between them. But my stepdad had a lot of anger. I'm pretty sure he was an alcoholic, and his face had rage. But I was laying on the couch with my mom, and I'm crying, and he walks over to the couch and he points his finger at me in my face. And I remember this man's face. I can actually kind of feel it in my body right now. And he said, "This is all your fucking fault." I'm 11. And so he walks out, and I get off the couch and I looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, please get our family help."
Wow.
And her response was, "Kandace, we can't afford to get help." And I walked away from that kind of feeling confused, but I had a spiritual experience in that moment. I had this experience where all of a sudden, whoever God was, like came to me. I felt it from my head to my toes, almost like he was holding my hand, telling me that I was going to be okay.
Mm,
And I just remember telling him, when I grow up, I will help people.
mm.
Didn't feel like this. I don't know. It felt so sweet and tender to me. So I had a few of those things happen in childhood. So my struggle and my journey hasn't been so much that I have struggled to believe that God loves me. It hasn't translated in a lot of my human relationships.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that story.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me it feels, and I'm glad for the way God met you there. I mean, that's profound. That's powerful and impacting, and you remember that. But I think it's glaring to me that in that moment your mom did not literally take your face in her hands and say, "Baby girl, what is going on right here is not your fault in any way, shape, or form."
Yeah.
She knew that it was something between the adults in the room. That is what was going on. And he targeted you. And you needed the voice of love. And you needed the voice of a parent to say, "You are loved. You are worthy. This is not your fault." And you did not get that in that moment. And I'm really feeling that because you were facing rage. You were lying down. And so I'm imagining this very large man towering over in rage, pointing his finger at you. And that was a moment of trauma.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm feeling your words as what I know I needed.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like my whole body is just soaking those words in.
Yeah.
No, and I've already had healing around this story, right? But just hearing those words again, that is so much what that 11-year-old girl needed
Yeah. Yeah.
to know.
I will say, Candace, what you, as that 11-year-old girl, what you desperately needed. And we know your mom wasn't able. So this is not us blaming your mom, but this is us still being able to say, in that moment, you were in desperate need of your mom to have been the adult in the room. Instead, you got up and you said, "Get us help." You took the role of the adult when what you really needed was just to be soothed, to be seen, to be assured that you were safe and that she was going to take care of you no matter what it took.
Yeah. And so, Cher, you and I started processing trauma out loud with a heart to bring awareness through discussing out loud the effects of complex childhood trauma, not just one incident, but trauma that affected our development and our ability to believe that we were worthy of love and care and kindness and goodness.
Yeah.
And to give our listeners hope that it's not too late.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that makes this so hard is not only our internal belief systems that we have to challenge, but belief systems outside of us that don't understand that there has to be a transition period for those beliefs and perceptions and feelings and sensations to change. And how we treat people in that,
Mm-hmm.
just pull up your bootstraps and believe. I mean, it says it right there, you are loved. Um, we wanted to offer a space that we say, you know what, it's okay that this is taking a while.
Yeah. And I will say, as I see you wiping your tears as you're speaking those words, but I do want to just say to that young girl part of you, I want to say, you are worthy, you are loved. And I know, Kandace, that you know this and that your little girl part has received so much care. But I do want to just say, in the context of you telling this story, I want to say you are so worthy to be loved and to know your innate glorious value as a girl, as a child, as a woman, and that that place where there is pain, there is still some pain. And I know you've had a lot of healing, but there's still pain there. And I just want to say, I see you and I care, and you are worthy.
Thank you. There is still some pain. There's a sting there, but I also want to say there's also joy there.
Yeah.
Like the more she's believing and receiving, the more she's getting freed up to return to that childlike desire and wonder and heart. And so, yeah, it's so good to be able to know that we can hold the tension when we're healing.
Yeah.
Right? That there is pain. And as that pain is healed, we do allow more love and goodness and light and healing to come in. And it's joyful to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be able to dip our toes, as it were, into these stories again, and to remember the pain, and to know we're not in the same place that we were 2 years ago or 3 years ago or a year ago, right? We are continuing to bring healing and tenderness and care to these young places, and allowing our brain to change its perceptions and its beliefs. And that's what you are doing. That is what you have done, in that now you really have the belief that you are lovable and that you are worthy. So when you go into this story, there's pain there, and
Mm.
yeah, I am worthy. And I love that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to stay on this. We're going to stay on this theme. I don't know for how long, but we want to name some things in the weeks ahead of things that are so hard, but worth it. And I want to say it's not that it's worth it, but you're worth it.
Yeah.
You're worth learning how to receive love and give love, because that's what we were created for. That's where we're going to have our highest sense of connectedness and joy, is when we are in that place of being able to believe we're loved and therefore be able to authentically love others.
Mhm.
Thank you, Cher, for the care that you offered me today. We don't plan these things. They can just still happen as we're podcasting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're processing out loud too.
Your care is like so exquisite. And you have been one of a few people that has demonstrated to me that I am so worthy to be loved. Thank you.
My joy, Kandace. And I've experienced that from you too. So thank you. But so good to be with you today. I love you so very much.
Good to be with you today too, Cher. Love you too.